Hey everybody, welcome back to another RennRanks, a series I run on my channel where I rank whatever I want, whenever I want. It is mainly gaming content, however, sometimes it is other kind of things. With that being said, today is going to be another gaming content video, and it's going to be Resident Evil Requiem bosses. Mainly special enemies and or bosses. There wasn't really a specific way to kind of categorize them. I actually could not find a list that had everything that I wanted in it, so I actually made a brand new list which you guys can find on Tier List Maker. I'm trying to link stuff down below, but since this is a newer channel, it's not letting me link exterior links. However, you know, I'll show you guys some more information on it towards the end. But with that said, yes, we're gonna be ranking all the special zombies, all the bosses, really just enemies that are unique to Resident Evil Requiem, a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. You guys can find my whole playthrough on my main gaming channel. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. And I did forget to say, if you guys end up enjoying this video, please do like and subscribe. It supports me. This right here is a newer channel specifically made for ranking. So if you like this kind of content, this is the place to be. If you guys like funny gaming content, well, then my main channel is going to be linked down below. That is just going to be playthroughs, funny gaming videos, really whatever I feel like posting gameplay-wise. Anyways, with that said, yes, I went ahead and I made this list. It's all Resident Evil bosses, slash, you know, unique zombies, monsters. I'll show you guys the actual name towards the end, that way you guys can find it, since I'm unable to link it until this account is 2 months old. So, yeah, we have the surgeon, we have the surgeon zombie, the singing zombie, which is Selena Corey. We have the girl, I have Nemesis in here. I have all the zombies that are kind of unique to Resident Evil Requiem. A phenomenal game, by the way. If you guys have not played it, please do check it out. There's not really gonna be any spoilers. This is just me ranking how I felt about the zombies, if I liked them, if I didn't like them. But yeah, overall, I tried to keep this to zombies that are just in Resident Evil Requiem, which means lickers, normal blisters, as well as the this plain zombies. They're just not going to be in here. There's no reason to rank every single zombie. The ones that I do want to go ahead and cover, the blister boss, I'm leaving him in there because it is a boss unique to Resident Evil Requiem. Could be debatable between 4, but I'm leaving him in there. I also did put the girls in there, the children, whatever you want to call them. Technically, you didn't have to fight them, but they were a unique enemy. Other than that, though, obviously Plant 43, he's in here. He, she, whatever. It's a plant. It doesn't really have a gender, but anyways, the plant's in here. Threw him in here. Yes, he's not exactly unique to Resident Evil Requiem, but he is still a boss, so I left it in there. Same thing with the spider, and then same thing with Nemesis. I guess Nemesis could be considered a spoiler. Not really. Yeah. Gideon's face shoe, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, the way I wanted to do this, wasn't necessarily by, like, how hard the bosses were, or how easy they were, because I'm gonna be completely honest, they weren't that hard. But yeah, I just put it favorite boss, still a great boss. This is like second spot, or, you know, the few that I think are really, really close. You know, C tier wasn't the worst, but it could be better. Then we have terrible execution, needs some work, you know, it just, yeah. And then we have just why, like, why was this even in the game? Realistically, I don't think I'm gonna put any in these 2, or maybe even these 3, but you know, I filled in the slots because I know everyone feels a bit differently. Anyways, with that said, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, the very first zombie on our list is going to be the Surgeon Doctor Zombie. He actually wasn't that hard compared to the other unique zombies, and he didn't really stand out more. Yeah, he was just like your basic normal zombie, just with a little bit of extra spice and everything nice in there. I really think they could have done him a bit cooler, like, I don't know, made him rise more, like, rise the dead and have a bunch more patience or stuff like that. I feel like they could have gotten a little crazy with him. They didn't. So I'm gonna put him in wasn't the worst, but he really could have been better. Not terrible, but just could have been better. Selena Corey, and then the other lady whose name I forgot. She's not really as important as Selena Corey is. I really, really like the singing zombies. I actually wish we would have ran into more of them, or if not, maybe had Selena Corey be a lot more intense than what she was. I don't know. Overall, I would have liked the game to have been a little bit harder, and I've played a few different playthroughs on different settings. More to come on that. I'm waiting to do a final whole review on the Resident Evil Requiem game itself once the DLCs come out. She's a great boss. I actually would have liked it if they would have made her more intense or have done something more with her. Still really, really creative. Really liked her. Next up, the girl. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest, guys. Top tier. I think she really is my favorite boss. Really, really unique backstory. She is the reason why this game has even any remote fear elements, and this is what confuses me. Call it a hot take, I don't really care. Everyone's saying Resident Evil 9 is the scariest Resident Evil game. I'm just not seeing it. Resident Evil 7 and 8 are by far a lot worse in the fear factor than Resident Evil 9. Yeah, I mean, the girl's part was scary, but I mean, maybe it's because Leon's part wasn't really that scary at all. The game just didn't feel as horrific as I would have liked it to have been. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I'm terrified of horror games. I do not like playing horror games. So, you know, I'm not upset that it wasn't super scary. However, I will say Resident Evil 9 is not near as scary as Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8. Fight me on that, but it's just not. But yeah, anyways, sorry, my little TED talk. The girl, she is really what added the horror element to this game. The main fear factor in this game was the girl. Next up, we have Chunk. Chunk scared the ever-loving shit out of me. If you guys have watched my little playthrough video, yeah, I didn't expect Chunk to be where Chunk was. We actually run into two different kinds of Chunks, but nonetheless, they're still Chunk. Very aggressive, very massive, can destroy stuff. However, I'm gonna be honest, once again, I feel like they could have done more with Chunk. They could have made him a bit more terrifying, a bit more daunting. I don't know. He's not one of the ones that stands out for me. I'm gonna put him at wasn't the worst, but he could have been better. They could have done more with him. I don't know, maybe he had vomit, like he vomits out blood and it's like acid blood or something like that, and it can hurt you and he can shoot you from far away when he can't get in rooms. I don't know, stuff like that. Like, I feel like they could have done more with him, but that's just me. The blister monster, like the really head honcho of the blister monster, his section in the burning church, it wasn't really a unique approach. However, it was more of an intense section just because there was so much going on. I don't think it was terrible execution. He is basically just another blister, which I don't even know if blister is the right word. I call them the blisters, the blister. But anyways, yeah, just another version of what we have seen in Resident Evil 4 and what we also see throughout Requiem. There's the blister monsters. He is a bit harder to kill than the other ones. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a different take on this, but nonetheless, I really just don't think anything in this game was super bad. It just, some things I'm like, it could have been better. Victor Gideon. I like Gideon. Gideon's absolutely hilarious. He's not trying to be funny. I just find him to be funny. I love all the fan edits that are making him out to be like a little fangirl. Victor Gideon is crazy. He's very memeable. However, his fight was actually a little bit of a letdown when now I'm thinking about it. You have his phase 1, which you power through pretty fast. I mean, Leon can parry his rocket launcher. Why? It's Leon, but why? But anyways, I feel like they could have made him a little bit harder. Especially since, you know, you played him throughout and same thing with Zeno too, which Zeno's not on the list. You didn't really fight him. It's just there. But wasted potential. He could have been a lot more difficult. Maybe like, kind of like in Resident Evil 2 where you fought the doctor guy a few times and every time it kept getting harder. I forgot his name. You guys know who I'm talking about if you played any Resident Evil. Which is kind of similar to what Gideon is in this. But anyways, I wouldn't say terrible execution, but however, he could have used a lot more work. They could have done so much more with him, and they didn't. So it is a tad bit disappointing when it came to Gideon. And then, you know, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead. Spoiler, not spoiler, you know, kind of already spoiled it, but if you've seen any gameplay at all, Gideon's phase 2 is a nemesis. We are familiar with the nemesis. We've seen it. Like I said, I tried to leave enemies that we've already fought before off this list, unless they were main boss, which is nemesis. He is. Once again, very easy to kill. Not a whole lot. You just kind of stand around, shoot at him, stand around, shoot at him, move out the way, just tank him. Feel like they could have done more. Maybe the map falls apart. You fall in a different area. You have to run away from them. Like, well, like monsters chase you. I don't know. They could have they could have made the final fights a bit more intense, and so I'm going to put Nemesis in terrible execution as well. I don't think either of them were terrible execution, but they could have been better. They could have used a lot more work. A few different thoughts could have been done. I mean, yeah. The children, the girls, whatever you want to call them, I think they're called the children. You don't fight them, however, they are a very prevalent enemy in the series. Well, in Resident Evil Requiem, rather, when you're playing through the child's part, the little girl, Chloe, that was her name. When you're playing as Chloe, you gotta run from them. You can't really fight them, per se. But they were pretty interesting. I feel like they could have done more with them, or had them maybe later in the game when you are exploring the facility. You know, the few that might have escaped the destruction and stuff like that. That's putting it really broad, because I don't want to spoil the game. But I feel like they could have done more with them, or had them come back somehow. It felt like wasted potential. Still though, really, really scary for the fear factor. I mean, little crazy kids are kind of scary. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave the girls there. The Tyrant, once again, like I said, I tried to leave enemies off that we've already seen in other games. Obviously, we've seen the Tyrant quite a few times. He's still a boss. You know, Leon dealt with him the way Leon dealt with him. Try not to spoil it too much. However, yeah, still a great boss. I mean, the Tyrant's never really gonna ever be considered a bad boss, in my opinion. Yeah. Everyone knows what the Tyrant is. Mutated... I don't want to spoil who that is, but someone mutated into that. Wasted potential. Could have been a lot more of a fight. I would love to meme this, because apparently no vitals were hit. But I know when I was shooting at this thing, plenty of vitals were hit. Wasted potential. They could have done more with it while still keeping the whole, like, this person's savable trope. I feel like they could have done that. I'm gonna put her at... It wasn't the worst, but could have been better. Plant 43. Plant 43 was pretty interesting. It's still a great boss, I'm gonna be honest. Wasn't the worst thing. It was handled exactly how you expected it to be handled. Light him on fire, call it a day. I really don't think there was too much you could have done with it, to be honest. It's a plant. It has it has its own mindset. It's gonna do its own thing. We've seen the plant before. Not the first time he's in the series. Who knows if it's gonna be the last time, but yeah. The chef. The chef I thought was really interesting. I actually really liked the chef's part. I thought they did the chef quite nicely. Could they made him more intense, more scarier? Yes, but he is the first boss or an intense zombie that you run into. And so for that being the case, I actually think they did him pretty good. So I'm gonna put him there. He does add some fear factor to a degree too, because, you know, eventually when you get past him, then he comes out in the hallways. The fear is there. Next up is gonna be the big spider. I think it's called Super Spider. Like, I quite literally think that's his name. I'm not sure. Yes. Very, very reminiscent from the older Resident Evil. Really, really unique. I actually really liked having the spider in there. The spider was not only fun, you had to travel and run from him. There was like a, I gotta get out of here, oh kind of moment with a spider. I actually really, really liked the spider. I would have actually liked to have had some more spiders in the game when you're traveling throughout Raccoon City. I wish there was more. I actually really, really enjoyed the spider. And so for that, I'm actually gonna put him at still a great boss. I'm actually gonna put the spider, well, I guess it's Mama Spider. It has babies. I'm gonna put her at the front of the list. Next up, and the last person, Hunk. Hunk is debatable on how I feel about him, and yes, people are saying it's not Hunk. It's Hunk's voice actor. He has Hunk's axe thingy, hatchet, whatever you want to call it. And then he tries to do his signature move when you're fighting him. It's Hunk. Also, he was heavily infected when you beat him. In my video, my gameplay, I got a really good look at his hand. He was pretty infected. That's the real Hunk right there. I'm not sure why people think he's a clone. I would love to hear the theories on that. It's Hunk. But anyways, a little side tangent. Hunk. The fight wasn't the worst. I would have liked to have had more intensity. I do know on Insanity mode, which I haven't played yet. Insanity mode I will play eventually. I know on Insanity mode, more people come and fight you after you get done with Hunk. But it felt like wasted potential. I feel like they could have done more with him. I hate that he had such a short moment in the game. So I actually think I'm gonna put Hunk and wasn't the worst, but could have been better. As for the final list right here, who I think is better to worst, I'm gonna put Hunk at the top if wasn't the worst. I'm gonna put the girls back there. I don't know, Chunk was pretty wasted. Blisterhead was pretty mediocre too. Well, not the Blisterhead, but just the Blister. Which I didn't include the Blisterheads in there because I just consider them regular zombies for anyone who's like, you forgot the Blister heads and they respawn, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've seen enemies come back to life multiple times in the game, especially Resident Evil 4. Not that unique. Honestly though, the Surgeon Doctor I think was the most waste potential out of all of these. He was really straightforward on the killing. He wasn't really that crazy. I think I'm pretty satisfied with this list right here. The girl for sure is just my favorite enemy in the game. She is not only the scariest, she has a lot of in-depth character-wise. She has a lot of history. I really, really like the girl. She was a really, really good boss. But anyways, with that said, if you guys end up enjoying this video, please do like and subscribe. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you guys want to see more Resident Evil content. I have already posted Resident Evil content. If you guys like it, I've actually made a full ranking on the Resident Evil movies. I put a lot of work into that. There's a lot of detail into that, and I really hope you guys enjoy that. The Resident Evil animated movies are really, really good. Not to be confused with the live action movies. But yeah, with that said, I will be making more of this, and I will be eventually posting a full review, a full ranking of the Resident Evil Requiem game itself. I'm holding off until the DLC comes, because I really want to get the full story, and I know that's kind of like a, taboo, considering DLC's extra. You shouldn't have to get the whole story to pay for it, and, you know, the big debacle that everyone's had. But yeah, no, I'm gonna hold off on the ranking, but eventually there will be one. If you guys want to do this, this tier list itself, I will include a picture right here. That's the actual name of it. If I'm able to link it, I will be, but like I said, this account has to be at least 2 months old. It's not, so they won't let me link anything without sending a picture of my ID, and I'm not gonna do that. So anyways, with that said, I'll see you guys later.